we arrive at the Penton Castle, where the Vrains are the hosts for this year's Hollowed Nights. The previous ones have been kind of a mixture of sordid affairs that resulted in some orgies. There's a couple of Puritan ones where like everyone like just sat around and bruised their knees doing boring things like praying as opposed to fun things like the year before. And then there's also like one where it wasn't much fun at all because there was some kind of drought with like fish or something. The market crashed. But either way, this year was hosted by the Vrains, Artem and Matilda, which was quite a surprise as the Vrains tend to spend most of their time in the castle or in the capital, and so they actually had to return to their ancestral home to spruce it up a bit to host this rather magnanimous affair. Um, but the party starts off and it's all good and stuff for somewhat. Lots of the nobles are kind of throwing rumors around that like someone is gonna kill one of the Vrains tonight. Someone was saying that Matilda was poisoning her husband. Another person was saying that Torgan and Giselle, the children, were way, way too close in a
Fucking.
Quicksilver Scarlet Witch kind of way. But there was a really cool band there that was not helmed by Vincente Ducarle, but was at the very least he's the one that grabbed all of the attention. It seems, as even the Matilda Vrain seemed rather interested in his skeletal performance.
Shorthand, basically, I didn't intend it this way, but apparently we are Sex Bomb from Scott Pilgrim, Jade, if you need a reference, but we rocked the house.
Yes. And after like the initial performance, there's all sorts of cold breath and shivering, except for the Duke, who seems to be unaffected. Kosara was there to meet up with her lover Finnan, who brought his quote-unquote butler Hopskins to Hopskin to scope out the place. Not that she knows that her beau is a bit of a shady dude, but it's not like he knows that she's part werewolf. So, we all have secrets in a relationship. It's okay. But in the middle of the ballroom, an apparition appears of an elderly woman, all skeleton thin and weird with a hunchback, and this creaking lady vanishes as Kasara approaches to, drive her off. It was some sort of ghast. Kasara kind of confronts the Duke, and he lies, and he says that he doesn't know who it is. But eventually, like, the party strikes back up. Oh, the Vanes are doing something cool this year, I guess. I wonder how they did that. Oh, it's a cool illusion, guys. But then all the wine turned into blood, and then all of the food got covered in maggots and was really gross. And then Artem started screaming that his wife had vanished and had disappeared, and the partygoers are sent out into the house to find her. Where we go across as a group because finally the plot happens and we're together. And in one of the bedrooms, we find a close to dead Duchess who is saved because Vincente surprisingly had spared the dying. And then the creaking lady appeared, and we fought her, and we killed her, and then the house went fucking nuts. Like, trees and shit started growing up out of everything. It's like the house, like someone had hit play on a time lapse, and just trees like grew out of everything, and we're all like, going, no, the house is going all poltergeist on us, and we passed out or something.
No.
No, we got covered in rubble and knocked around a bit. I don't know. But trees grew out of everything, and we're fucked now.
Right. Thanks, Alyssa. You can have an inspiration. That was really good.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So the as described, Jade. Obviously, you're not there. We'll introduce you as and when.
Okay.
But the three of you, staring at the spot where the ghost of the creaking lady was mere moments ago. You and the house seems to kind of like steady itself and become stable, and there's this like low groan from the foundations, and you like look over at the bed where you see the Duchess sitting up, like eyes wide. She's like looking around at the room and all the carnage.
Yeah, Kasara's eyes are still kind of flashing that wild wolfy glint, and the talons that her hand or claws that her hands had kind of formed into kind of shift back into something more normal, and she's like panting.
I think Vincente is like still on the bed because that's where I said he jumped to when everything started. So he's like kneeling on the bed and he's probably like holding on, I don't know, to the mattress, the bed frame with one hand, and then like he has one of the shadow daggers in his hand, and I think it's just up slowly rotating. Are we in like pitch dark?
Not pitch dark, no. I imagine there's like maybe a couple of lanterns that have like fallen over but are still burning.
I mean, I know you hired us to perform, Duchess, but we did not rock the house.
Bring the house down.
This wasn't our intention, and because he's like, I imagine very close as she like sat up. So
you feel like a kind of slightly shaking hand on your back. He says, "You saved me."
Well, you know, you hired us. Can't go letting our host die. That wouldn't look very good, would it?
Well, it's... She's kind of like regaining some of her composure, fixing her hair. Rather more than I compensated you for.
We can talk about money another time. I think right now we, and he looks to like the branches or the tree trunks that have like grown through different parts of the masonry. Maybe we should try find a way out, or whatever's causing this.
Yes.
Yeah. Who the fuck was that woman?
That is a very good question. Maybe I should have started with that.
I
You
don't know.
fucking think.
There's definitely like a moment where he like eyes you implacably.
That's a fucking
Yeah.
word.
Yeah. Kasara is just kind of, she still has like blood on her chin from where like the creaking woman like cracked her across the face,
Yeah.
and is kind of just angrily glaring at the Duchess right now.
Finn and those of you who can see him, like, has this rapier in his hand, but he's like, the tree has kind of like sort of seems to have caught him a bit and like slammed him into a wall, and you know his jaw's a bit bloody, but he kind of is like pulling himself to his feet, like eyes are sort of wide, staring at Gosara.
This tree is super duper dead, right?
Yeah.
No, this isn't right. This isn't right at all.
Yeah, Kosada is like notices Finnan like staring at her and kind of like turns away from him to like focus her attention on the Duchess. not wanting to deal with that right now.
Mhm.
So yes, Duchess, apparitional antagonist. Any idea?
She shakes her head. I
She
know that.
fucking lying like her husband is, or was.
Roll an insight check.
Woo! I actually have to get my dice out because I didn't get them out for last game.
That's a 1.
Oh my god!
Yes, she's lying.
Kosara like just kind of does like the angry like wiping her hand across like her bloody chin and like shakes the blood off and is like, right.
I got an 11.
Hard to read. You don't
Sure.
think she's a liar, though.
Can I make a nature check on this tree, see what's off about it? I know it's off, but I want to know what's off about it specifically. Besides the fact it's just dead and just randomly sprouted.
Sure. Are you making the insight check as well?
I'm not worried about the Duchess right now. I'm looking at the tree.
Okay, sure.
It doesn't matter. Fucking matter. I rolled a 1. Fuck it.
The main thing that's off about it is that it's in the middle of a house.
That'll do. That'll do it.
Right. Well, if you have no idea where we should go, probably should be anywhere but here. Need to
Yes.
find your husband? He seemed to know.
Oh, yes. No, yes, we should do that. She kind of like rights her dress and sort of stands up. Oh, sorry about the cat purring. She wanted to nuzzle at the microphone.
Not now.
Oh, Vincente. Bunty.
Horny fucking humans.
No.
I need an adult.
Right.
But yeah, she will kind of indicate for you to lead the way through the door, which is obscured by a few kind of like straggly branches, but they can kind of be brushed aside. You can tell she's sort of expecting the path to be made clear for her.
I'm gonna run over to Penton and ask, "You alright?"
Yes, fine. And sort of dismisses you, like still staring up at Kosara.
Alright.
He'll sort of reach for Kosara's hand as like everyone begins to move. Just take your hand and like give it a sort of reassuring squeeze,
She kind of
as you did to him earlier.
yeah, she kind of
Mirroring that.
does like a like stiffens for a moment and then relaxes as like he's not recoiling from her. So
Mhm.
she kind of gives him like a little glance and squeezes back before stepping forward to help with the branches, being the one who's probably the strong enough to actually do something about them.
They're mostly just twigs to clear, so it's a bit more.
She's the
Right.
strongest one. She's
Yes,
going.
yes.
Yeah, I definitely am making the same sort of motion as the Duchess. Like, make the way.
Like, she definitely shouldn't be the one because noble, but fuck it, you guys are like little.
Pumpkin,
Pumpkin
come on,
will also
up
help
to it.
by batting with his stick, because he's there.
There is now a small goblin-sized path through the tree branches.
Kosara will clear the rest of the debris out of the way.
Yeah. You guys like head into what appears to be an adjoining room that then lets you get back out into the corridor. And you're on a sort of like balcony looking over like a sort of courtyard with a huge crack through it, overgrown with like nettles and vines. And you sort of head through to a door at the end of the corridor, and kind of push through it to find another ruined room with a pretty awful scene. You see what appears to be two, or what appears to be a woman, fairly young, sort of reddish hair, Hobskin, you would recognize her immediately as Tamsin, though, and in her hands you can see that there is like a large sort of classical painting of a landscape that's been like rolled up and cut from its frame. But what is most striking about her is that she's kind of standing near the window, and you can see that there's like curtains kind of flapping, and they've like wrapped around her neck. You can see she's like hanging limp, her face like purple, and the rest of her body pale white. On the floor, kind of on a rug beside her, are two people who seem in a fervor, both like lying on top of each other, like vomit and blood leaking from their mouths, their eyes kind of like glassy and bloodshot, and you can see like a whole host of like very like what's the word, like A-class sort of drugs, like you know, very notorious drugs all around them, and like bottles of wine, and it seems they're both like sort of overdosed in some way, as they've been taken with a fit of revelry. And with a start, you recognize them as the very Puritan Mondans, the old folk who have never liked this kind of debauchery, now forever burned into your minds, dead in this way.
Oh, they are dead? Okay.
Yeah, they're dead.
I'm gonna go unravel the curtain. Super duper quick.
Tamsin slumps forward, falls straight onto the floor.
Breathing? No.
No, and she's cold to the touch.
Oh, fuck.
Do you know her?
This was a bad idea. Oh, fuck.
I kind of like lean back to Korsara. I think he knows her.
Yes, I think you're right. He definitely knows her.
You're a fucking stupid asshole, Tamsin, for fuck's sake. I knew this was a bad idea.
Yes, probably looting a mansion during an emergency is probably not the best thing to do. She says, kind of giving Hobskin like a squint of, how do you know someone who...
prick.
Was she dressed like a rogue or something?
She was definitely stealing something.
Yeah, she's not dressed like a party goer.
Right, okay.
It was just a fucking scoping job, you stupid fuck.
Kosara's going to turn to Finnan. Are you going to let him speak to me that way?
You shut your fucking mouth!
Oh my.
Finnan kind of
Kosara is going to come across and pick Hobskin up by the neck and says, "What the fuck did you say to me?"
I said, shut your fucking
She's
mouth.
gonna shake him. Just...
I'm kind of just like looking very awkward, scratching the back of my neck, like looking away at this point.
as this goblin shaking is taking place, you all kind of freeze as you hear this like long drawn out moan of pain. You turn around and you see that there is another figure in the room. This one seemingly alive, but crushed backwards against the sort of back wall of the door you came in, beneath like a huge tree branch that is like ripped through the floor and part of the wall, and has like clearly kind of pierced this person's sides and like crushed them against the stone. Jade, do you want to describe your significantly pained character?
So he's kind of dressed in like dark armor, kind of trimmed in gold. He's got kind of black, short, spiky kind of hair. Kind of it kind of squints his eyes a little bit, and you can kind of see they're like a blue color. And he's trying desperately, I guess, to free himself and
Yeah.
Oh,
Whatever
sorry, I
your
didn't see you there. I'll try
Sorry.
and help.
Jade, whatever your hit
Kosada
point,
is. Oh,
whatever
sorry.
your hit point max is, you've taken half of that in damage.
okay.
Kosada is going to continue throttling the goblin.
Kosara, baby. Finnan will like walk over and kind of tap you on the shoulder. Maybe save that till after we're out of here.
And she kind of gives a look at him and then drops Hopskin and like pulls Finnan in and is like, "You brought him here. He's a thief."
Hopkins gonna run over and cast Cure Wounds on what's her face? What's his face? The fellow we don't know. I guess they are what's their face.
No, it's definitely dude.
What's his face?
What's his
Finnan's kind of jaw sets, and he kind of stares up at her. He doesn't
It's
look
only an 8.
scared.
It's only an 8. Oh no. Yeah, it's an 8. 8.
He doesn't
No,
look
9, fuck.
scared,
4.
but he does look like, a little defiant. And he says, "Yes, and so was I for a very long time. Or had you forgotten?"
She kind of has like an angry look that kind of like softens a little bit, but it's like, you said that had changed, and like lets him go.
Just trying to help a friend.
I am definitely trying to help Jade's character out of this
Yeah.
tree
And
situation.
with some effort, you're able to help him out.
Don't panic.
You feeling better, friend?
A little.
Good. I'm Vincente Ducali. You might remember me from this stage.
I do. It was quite a performance.
Oh,
Mercer Wade.
always nice to meet a fan.
Sure.
You said your name was Mercer Elway?
No, Mercer Wade.
Mercer Wade, sorry. Hi. I'll help you to your feet as the goblin does the healing.
Yeah. Don't panic. Puts his hand on your thigh. I assume it's about as high as he is. And you feel a warmth as he heals 9 damage. I don't know if that was heard earlier, but there you go.
Yeah. It's not something you see every day.
What, the performance or the healing?
For the massive tree.
gathering. A lot of it is not something you see every day, but a goblin healing is.
Yeah, he's quite a strange little fellow, it seems.
We don't gotta get a noble upbringing, bud.
I mean, I'm not noble either. Sorry for your loss, by the way. Seems like you were close.
Yeah, she's a fucking stupid idiot.
Apparently not that close.
Yes.
She gave me a chance when nobody else would. Fuck! He sort of pats around to Tamsin and just sort of... I'm guessing kneels over her, but it's probably not much of a difference in height between him kneeling and him standing.
Are there any rites you'd like performed, or?
Oh, you've got the gifts too, have you?
After a fashion. I tend to focus more on the martial prowess, but that doesn't mean that they didn't train us for a little bit.
Are you human? Just out of interest.
Yes, human.
Okay, cool. I'm guessing paladin.
Sorry, Jake. Could I have the name in the chat as well, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I mean, I have a little bit, obviously, but I'm not too religious. So, if the goblin wants, you can do your thing. I know, like respectfully away, something.
I'll live. Who's your other? Sorry, I didn't get the goblin's name.
Hopskin.
Howskin. And your other friend?
I don't actually know her name. That is the Duchess, and he thumbs up the shoulder. But I presume you knew that. The others are strangers to me.
Yeah,
Kosara kind of shakes her head and steps away from the difficult conversation she was having with Venin and kind of extends a hand and says, I am Kosara Vladimirova.
Charms.
You watch the Duchess kind of go over and like retrieve her stolen painting. Before
Does Venin not introduce himself?
Finnan's just kind of watching the Duchess for a moment, and then sort of turns around and walks over.
Was the painting slashed? Or...
No, it'd been like cut out of a frame.
Cut.
And rolled.
Okay, when you said cut out the frame. Sorry, I was thinking because the previous like tapestries and
yes, yeah,
up. That's how I saw it. Right. I get it.
He just comes over. Finn and Dane, he says. Doesn't bother holding out a hand though. He is like this kind of skinny, sort of slightly messy haired, like black haired individual, like quite pale skin. Like looks like a typical rogue in a noble's uniform, sort of thing. But he carries himself very much like a noble, but with a rapier at his side.
Nice to meet you.
And you? Well, feel we should maybe try not to tarry.
Oh yeah, sure. After you.
Shame about the Mondans. Party 2 years ago could have been much more fun if, well, they'd been into all that. He kind of allows himself a chuckle and like turns to lead the way out.
Do you think they did this to themselves, or do you think it was something to do with all of this? And he kind of like waves his hand.
I've never seen either of them drink more than a glass or two of wine at once, so this is rather extreme for them.
Tamsin didn't wrap herself up in curtains.
Oh no, I mean I kind of guessed that, but just I mean the curtains I can stay away from, but you know if the house or ghosts or whatever it is making people overdose on all of these fine things, it's another thing entirely. More difficult to avoid temptation than it is a curtain.
That's a great phrase.
Perhaps it was something like with the food and wine in the ballroom. Perhaps they looked like something else to them.
Maybe. Can I like pick up something, swill it around, or
Yeah,
look at it? It's not full of maggots or something, is it?
the wine. So looking at the wine, it's not blood; it's actual wine, and all the drugs are like capital D drugs. You know, it's like the heroin, cocaine, all that sort of equivalent.
Sure. Just he like. I don't know what's there exactly. Picks up a pouch of some of the powder or something and opens it and goes, it doesn't look like maggots or whatever else. Maybe it did to them, like you said, but...
No, I don't know what it could have appeared as to make them so fervent for it.
Like I said, I think maybe they were driven to it, and that is a scary thought.
Maybe they just wanted to live a little.
Did you not see what happened to them? You were here, were you not?
A little. I think I took a bump on the head. The details of last night are a little Well, details are just a little fuzzy.
It's still
what's
that
fail.
night, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last night.
Well,
Oh
no.
my.
Yeah, you created
All
it
that
yourself.
movement here.
But no, you would have seen them, like, they were kind of just having a conversation in the room, quiet, talking about how disgusting everyone's behaviour is. Then, flash, crack, trees, ruined house, and suddenly they're like writhing on the floor doing drugs and drinking and having sex and all this kind of stuff.
It has suddenly come back to me, and then
Did you see what happened to Tamsin?
I don't know. Did
You
I?
did, yeah. Well, you didn't see her take the painting, but you heard her suddenly begin choking and looked around to see her being strangled
In the
by the
curtain.
curtains. Yeah.
Right. Are you happy to leave Tamsin here, or do you want us to try and take it with you?
Hopskin is taking off his butler's outfit to reveal the animal leathers underneath. She died in the line of duty. It's what she would have wanted. Well,
Okay.
not being strangled by curtains, but dying on the job.
Sure.
Right, but I think it was more a question of, do you want to leave her here? That doesn't seem like a normal thing to want, but if you are certain, that is
As
what
soon as
she'd
we-
be okay with.
As soon as we get out that front door, I'm not coming back inside.
Fair enough, I guess.
I can't exactly carry her.
No, quite right. I was just, respect for the dead. But we are in a pretty strange situation. I don't really blame you for wanting to live in it and not be burdened. That's all good. I kind of like lean closer to Kasora. I don't really know. I know goblin traditions. Maybe this is, how they grieve.
Perhaps, she says, kind of.
Lead on.
The Duchess falls in beside you, Vincente, as you kind of travel.
I'm just gonna say I never put the pouch down. The pouch is still on my person somewhere, but people may not have been looking.
Sure.
So I'm just going to put one pouch of hard drugs. Drugs.
It's the finest skooma.
You a spice? Was that painting particularly precious to you, Duchess?
It's worth a lot.
Oh. A good thing we found it then.
I wouldn't have been able to if it weren't for you.
No, true. True. Hopefully we will see the outside again.
I hope so. She kind of gives you a kind of scarlet smile, though her finely tuned makeup is a little smudged.
Acceptable given the circumstances, really. This whole event, you have any expectation that this was going to happen, or
Of course not.
no?
Never seen something so.
Nothing went bump in the night.
My husband always spoke of things like that, but nothing that I have seen.
Right.
Is that why you were never here?
No, we were never here because we had business in the capital.
Do you know any of the history of this place? Why it would do such a thing? It's very unhouse-like of it.
It is, but no, I do not know any history of this family. Again, you will have to ask my husband. I'm more concerned with the here and now. And right now, I would like to be somewhere other than here.
a practical woman. I can respect such.
She kind of inclines her head to
Mhm.
you.
I'll do the same.
Yeah. And you guys manage to find like a set of stairs. And you head back down the spiral stairs and find yourselves back in the sort of large great hall. You can see like the trunk of the tree sprouted from the center of the room here, and there's quite a few noble bodies like littering the room, though a few people are like sitting or standing, like looking a bit dazed or shocked. A few people crying over lost family. And you see the Duke Vrain kind of standing in a corner, like shivering and kind of hugging himself, like his whole body shaking, and he's like talking to someone. It seems that you can't see, just in low, hushed, murmuring tones, like talking to himself.
We found the missus! He yells to the Duke.
He doesn't seem to react.
A little
Kosara will
strange.
approach. What is Matilda doing? Is she just hanging back, or is she heading towards her husband?
Give me an insight check.
I'm bad at those. 17.
You see, like, for a second, she looks a little bit miffed that her husband is still alive, but then kind of sweeps over to him.
Interesting.
She's,
You look disappointed.
she'll just kind of ignore you with, like, a flick of her hair and kind of take the Duke by the elbow, kind of shake him a little bit and say, "Pull yourself together, husband. We have company." He kind of, like, blinks and, like, looks up at her, like, as though he didn't notice that she was there until that moment. He says, "Oh, you're here." She says, "Of course I'm here."
You're welcome.
She gives you a very dirty look. Before continuing.
So, Duke, you were last shouting about your wife, and now we have returned to you. Could you perhaps tell us a little bit about what the fuck is going on?
She was dead or dying when we found her.
Yes, and that broken old woman was nearby, floating around.
And then we murked her.
Yes, and then like the whole tree situation. Maybe you could do a little bit of explaining.
I think she was my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Hobson feels a little bit weird about murking her now. And we were so flippant about it, but he gets over it quick.
And does she often make a visit to your home?
When we stay, sometimes. And you see the Duchess like roll her eyes and kind of scowl, like, "Oh, he's talking bullshit again," sort of thing.
She was very much real.
I hit her with my stick. He holds his stick in the air. That's pretty fucking solid.
Yes, and when she was coming for you, Lady Matilda.
Well, she was unable to. That's all that really matters. Now we should go.
What were you doing in that room anyway?
I don't remember.
Well, she was dying.
And the Duke sort of looks up at it and he says, "No, we can't leave. If we leave, then it will only get worse.
I think you're going to have to explain what it is.
Topsy points to the giant tree in the middle of the fucking house with his stick.
I mean, I understand, but like, you know, the general it, like why the grandmother is still visiting the house
Oh yeah,
and
ghosts and stuff. Yeah, fair enough.
what all the fucking spooky stuff is going on. So
And my whole lineage, every member of my family has been buried in the crypt underneath this castle. And, well, I think perhaps something made my grandmother see fit to come back.
I mean, the fact she attempted to kill your wife, do you not think it was maybe her?
No, of course not. And the Duchess sort of nods and says, "What are you implying, Bard?"
That perhaps that she was trying to defend her son?
I mean, you seem to be the target, Duchess. I'm just... I could see no reason why she would want to, of course, but... she did try.
Seems pretty suspicious if you ask me.
She gives you like a scowl of like she doesn't have a good counter argument, but she doesn't agree with you.
She obviously didn't hear what Kosara said. That's okay with me.
Sorry, yeah, just yawned. And the Duke says, I think she does not like that I married you. You see the Duchess's eyes eyebrows kind of furrow. And why not? I was an excellent match. And the Duke kind of quickly says, like, of course, I love you, but...
She's trying to kill him. She whispers, Kazara whispers to Finnan. That would piss off my grandmother.
And Finnan kind of tries to hide a smirk.
I'm a little curious why she would try now. Have you two not been together for a long time?
We have only spent 1 or 2 nights a year here since we have been back, and each time I have been visited by her.
Do we know who the Duchess was before she married the Duke?
Some minor noble.
Okay. So it could have easily been a power
He was definitely above her station. Yeah, there's definitely it was a tactical marriage for sure.
Yeah. Anything else that could piss off your granny?
I love that coming from some little creaky goblin with an attitude problem.
He says, she was not one for these kinds of parties.
Oh. You think the party was the last straw?
Not the matricide?
The what?
I love what Kasara's still pushing for this narrative and this just the not going anywhere.
The what? The Duke will say, like staring.
Isn't
at
matricide when you kill your mother?
No, it's when you kill your husband.
Matricide is killing your mother.
Yeah.
Nope. Word for murdering husband. I just googled it. Matricide. From the Latin, matrius is husband, and side from to cut, kill.
Matricide. Matricide, the killing of one's mother.
Killing of one's mother.
A person who
put
kills
that in.
their mother.
Patricide is a male
That's
version
that's
because it's the
killing your dad.
patriarch of a family.
Hey,
That's
look
father,
at this.
though.
Matrix.
Matricide from Latin matrius,
No.
husband plus side from
That's
cadre to
that's
kill.
mariticide.
Oh, whatever. Matricide then. She said it properly. Shut up.
I got
Shut
you back, see.
Thank you.
In which case, Hopkins didn't say that line. It's fun to see.
Like we all know Latin. But yeah. As characters, I mean.
I killed it.
A goblin and and a guitar player probably couldn't argue with you and just be like, yeah,
Matricide!
matricide.
Kill those
Mar-
motherfucking mattresses!
How do you say it?
Maritricide, maybe.
Maritricide.
You can also just say killing your husband. That could also work.
Which is a
No,
noble.
she's trying to be a shit, and the best way to be a shit is to say it fancy.
I just say it Latin. Yeah.
Just be fancy.
The Duke says, "What?" And the Duchess says, "Excuse me."
Oh, this is getting interesting.
Is this a rumor I've heard several times tonight?
I heard a Rain was gonna die tonight. Didn't say which one, but one of them. Could be more than one. Who knows?
Well, perhaps
You seem very pale, Atrin.
that is makeup. The Duchess says.
I heard that has been wearing the makeup all week's end.
The Duchess
If that is the case.
kind of turns to face you, though she, has just seen you turn into like a semi-bear creature, and so it's a little like, a little cautious.
No, she didn't. She was unconscious.
She was sitting up by the end of the fight.
Okay.
You didn't speak to her when you still had your
Okay.
wolf stuff, as I recall. I could be wrong, but as I
Yeah,
recall.
you did describe changing back after I described her.
Okay,
looking
okay.
at her.
Fine.
Well, good.
And she says, "If you are implying that I am trying to kill my husband, you are mistaken."
I don't think she's implying it. I think she's saying it.
Then she
You looked
is
very
doubly
upset that he
mistaken.
was still alive.
Do not be foolish, girl. I love him. She'll put an arm around his shoulder.
I'm gonna just lean into Mercer a little bit and go, I'm really glad we found you, so I have someone to appreciate the drama with.
This is the best thing that has happened this entire party. I mean, your performance withstanding, of course.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that.
That's a 16 on my insight.
She's quite hard to read. You don't think she's necessarily trying to kill him, but you also don't think. You think that maybe him dying might be a really great thing for her, and that she wouldn't mind it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
you're not
the-
sure she would. She's necessarily been trying.
Well, the ghosts certainly seem to think that you are responsible for her grandson's pallor.
And why do you say that?
Because, like I said, that she was trying to kill you.
That could
I don't
have
like her
been-
either, but she's got a point.
That could have been for any number of reasons. I have many enemies.
How many enemies do you know are also your husband's dead grandmother?
She kind of purses her lips. You have a sharp tongue. You would do well to keep it in your head.
Okay, let's make it a little bit more vague. How many enemies do you have who can summon ghosts?
One or two.
That's actually more than I was expecting.
Those are some pretty impressive enemies.
Now listen,
All right, were one of these? What was the family upstairs who were really Puritan and boring?
Mondon.
One more time.
Mondon.
Mondon.
Mondon. Were any of those the Mondons?
She says, "No, enough of this. My husband and I have
That's not a no. That's not a no.
My husband and I have much work to do, as you can imagine, and we should leave for the capital immediately."
I mean, isn't there like a few more people here we could stop
Also, there's a big
I-
fucking tree in your house.
the Duke seemed keen for us not to leave.
The Duke kind
That
of
and
nods and
there's,
says, "No,
like,
no, we mustn't leave." And the Duchess kind of takes him by the arm.
It would be really bad form to leave while you have people bleeding in your great hall.
She kind of stares daggers at you, and she says, "I think under the circumstances, it is important." And we'll try and whisk her husband away, but he kind of stands like resolutely and kind of pulls against her. Says, "No, we can't leave." She seems like absolutely furious, ready to fucking explode.
All right, Duke. If we can't leave, what do you want us to do?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hopkins throws his hands in the air. Like,
Are we
fuck.
going to go down to the crypt?
The crypt's probably where the roots are, so it's as good as bad as any.
His eyes kind of
Do you
go a
think
bit.
your grandmother is the source of this?
She is the only one I have seen.
This person here, and he kind of just thumbs to Mercer, who's standing right next to. He seems kind of holy. Maybe he can do something about your upset spirits.
Yes. That would be excellent.
Throw
I
you
think-
under the bus.
I can certainly try.
He says,
How do you want to do this?
then you will go down. That will be.
Yeah.
Downtown.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
It's not what I had in mind for my evening, but why not?
And then the Duchess says, "We will leave." Yes, and the Duke nods, kind of, sort of quickly, like, "Of course, love. Of course, we will leave."
Maybe
as,
you
as
should
soon as
find
this
your
is done."
children before worrying about all that.
Oh God, the Duke kind of like, hand on his head, and the Duchess just scowls and kind of crosses her arm.
There is definitely like a slight inclined nod, like, yes, good idea, towards Kasara.
Mm. But I will go down to the crypts with you. Someone has to make sure that things are taken care of around here.
I'm just going to check around, see if anyone needs anything here. Be a few moments. And basically, I'm just going to go around and try and convince people to put their names in the book. They're survivors, so we're listing the survivors.
Yeah, you get in the region of 36 names.
Okay.
Can we take a short rest during this time?
Sure.
Awesome. While we are also waiting for Liam to return.
Yeah, we'll go quick. for, like,
Barbarian hit dice. Ooh.
So, with the names he got earlier on in the party, has he maybe got 50 names in the book?
Sure.
Great. In his little black book.
You can
One
have,
hit dice got me back up to full. Woo.
You can have 50 names, plus or minus a d6. It's minus if it's odd, or plus if it's even.
Interesting. Okay. I got 2, so 52.
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm a Tome of the Pact Warlock, Jade, but my tome is a little black book
Oh, okay.
for hooking up with people, kind of.
Like I said, this scenario is all about banging.
I gathered.
I was gonna. So I looked at the fast scribe feature, which is a level 5 feature, so he's not there anyway. But you need the person to consent and actually put their name in the book. So he's basically gone to this party as one of the members of the band, and they don't really get noble gigs.
So he's networking as
So
hard
he's networking.
as
A spook, yes. The entire shtick basically last session was I was trying to get people to put their names in this book, so he can message them at some point
Yeah,
and hook
it's
up
good.
with them.
It's really funny as well. So basically, I don't know if you guys remember, I was planning on doing a heist, and then for some reason the session didn't go ahead. But we had like a heist one shot planned, and said heist one shot was kind of gonna be somewhat similar to this, but like instead of all the spookiness, it's the heist. But I'm really enjoying like the interplay between the different sort of people and the things, and just I was basically gonna have it set up in a similar way where all these people have different relationships and rumors and all this kind of thing, and then just sort of let you loose in there. And so we will have to do a heist where that happens at some point as well.
Of course.
It's been a fun little game.
Yeah.
I'm just playing a character with a head wound, so I can conveniently point to my head wound if I'm like, I don't know what happened in the previous game. I'm concussed.
Oh. Hey Dan, what are you gonna play in Henrik's thing? Have you thought about it any?
Not really. We haven't. We haven't honestly spoken about it since I kind of pointed him in your
Our
direction.
directions? Okay.
Yeah. It would be totally awesome if you guys are up for doing it and it all works out. We built out a bunch of stuff together of that continent, and I'm curious. I would have to go back and look at some of it. Really, only the stuff that I remember and super love. One of my favorite things we built was basically there were like halfling desert nomads, and they like worship like a wind goddess, and she like speaks to them through the rocks and the mountains. Like it whistles in different ways, and they like build their like holy places and like maybe like one city of them or something, but like they built like singing rocks, basically like formations
cool.
with holes and stuff, and that's how she speaks to them in the way. That was about all I can remember about how we did a whole bunch of stuff, but I really really love the halflings. Like we totally, because like some of them are like sand druids basically from what I remember, and we talked about making an actual class just for the sand speakers or whatever they're called.
Is the setting? He said like Far East. Is he meaning like Middle East, like with like deserts and stuff, like campaign?
Yes,
like sand and glass.
It's not more sand and glass than third campaign.
Oh, okay,
for
okay.
Ascara, the primary force behind it is like a, kind of an Arab Muslim kind of caliph kind of caliphate situation. It's like turbans and scimitars and that kind of thing. Little pointy goatees and whatnot.
I'll be right back.
Okay. As far as I'm aware, I mean, he has a lot more of the setting in his head. And even when we're building the setting, like a lot of it was me trying to get down, like pulling it out of his head in a way. Like I said, for making this book he has a lot of information up there that he doesn't like very freely give unless I ask the right questions. Like some sort of sphinx or something. I don't know.
But is it an undead sphinx?
Because I was telling Rob that, like, having a healer in the group is very important. But I know that at least the cleric religion stuff was weird in the other continent, because, like, I know he combined a bunch of